Boys, today we are going to be going over my top favorite fights of 2025. Now, these are just my personal favorites. I don't have any, outside sources, influencing me. These are my definitive top favorite fights of 2025. So yeah, let's get right into it. First up, Nazim Sadikov versus Nicholas Mata. Now, this is a lot of people's, fight of the year. It's not mine, but this was definitely a good ass scrap. And going into this fight, every single fight on this card, this was the Baku card in Azerbaijan, every single fight on this card was a decision. This fight card was genuinely one of the worst fight cards, especially for a crowded event, of 2025. This card was absolutely dog shit. You had straight decisions. Muhammad Usman versus fucking Hamdi Abdel Wahab. Like, bro, come on. The fight was dog. Tagir Ulanbekov, that was a fight before this. That fight was terrible. Two women's fights, don't even remember the names. Siak Hyun Ko, he just smudged Oban Elliott. So, every single fight before this was a decision. So when this fight came on and these two started scrapping, it was just absolutely, it was great. So I think both guys got knocked down. Sadikov was in Azerbaijan. It was like a home fight for him. So it was a good scrap, not the best, but it was definitely up there. It was a really good fight, just absolutely zero, grappling and wrestling, which, we over here, we prefer the striking. So this fight was an absolute banger, back and forth. Sadikov finally finished him. I don't remember how he finished him, but I think it was up against the cage and actually just slumped Mata out cold. So yeah, this fight was a banger and a good one to start off with. Next. Yeah, my absolute GOAT, Charles Oliveira versus Mateusz Gamrot was one of the best fights of the year. This is no bias, I have nothing, influencing my decision, but my favorite fighter of all time, my GOAT, he put on an absolute clinic and we dominated. Yes, we dominated. Jamal Hill style dominated. We dominated Gamrot. In Brazil, the crowd was, Charles Oliveira has the best walkout in the UFC, hands down. I mean, the guy's walkout is just absolutely amazing. I don't understand a word from the song he uses, but, it gets me going. It gets me nervous as fuck. It gets me all sweaty and, wanting to, shed tears. But this fight was just amazing. The home crowd, the crowd was absolutely amazing. This might have been crowd of the year, but Charles came in. Everyone thought he was going to lose. People thought Gamrot was going to put a pace on him and out grappling. But, bro, I knew deep down in my heart we were going to slime out Gamrot. By submission, of course. But, I thought he could knock him out too. And when, I was nervous for this fight, but, deep down I knew we were going to win. And, the first round started and Charles was just putting the pressure on, which I was kind of surprised. I thought he was going to be a little more hesitant, based on, the Sora AI, Ilya Topuria fake made up fight. That never happened. But yeah, I thought he was going to be a little bit more patient, but he just went straight. You know what? Fuck it. I'm never doubting my GOAT again. He's not scared of fucking anything. So he went straight towards Gamrot in the first round, putting up the pressure on. Then Gamrot shot for a takedown, which, I knew it was going to happen. He got the takedown, but Charles, BJJ, GOAT here. He put a Gamrot, he was holding him like a weird omoplata situation. There's like his shoulder. I'd never really seen anything like that. And, it scrambled around. Charles ended up getting on top, getting in the back in the first round, holding the back position with the body triangle, threatening chokes. Round two started. Charles was putting the pressure on again, literally just bullying Gamrot, like absolutely bullying him. And, he was pressuring him. Gamrot was like on the fence and Charles shot him for a takedown, literally lifted Gamrot up off his feet like a baby. We bitched Gamrot, and, we're not fans of Gamrot, but, we respect him. So I won't go too hard on him, but we literally bitched Gamrot, picked him up off his feet, dunked him on the ground, got the hooks in, just immediately finished him. It was one of the, best fights of the year, best victories of the year, best performances of the year. So yes, this fight, I don't see this fight on many people's lists, which, a little surprising, but, my GOAT, this was my second favorite fight of the year. And yeah, he put on a clinic and we will be sliming out Max Holloway by KO. Fuck it, not by submission. We're going to slime out Max Holloway by KO. And then we're going to fight Topuria again and slime him out. So yeah, that's the plan for Charles. Anyway, moving on. Royval versus Van. Now, I see people saying this is their fight of the year. It's not my fight of the year. My fight of the year, I'll have that as the last fight I show and talk about will be my fight of the year. But, this one was a good little scrap. I'm not usually a huge fan of the flyweight, so, I wasn't as hype, as it was going on as, other people, but it definitely was one of the fights of the year. It was back and forth. Kept it on the feet. We love kicking, we love striking, we love punches, we love Muay Thai. We do not fuck with grappling. So I did like this fight. I thought Royval, even though he's not a grappler, I thought he would mix in some, try to mix in some takedowns against Van, because Van's a good boxer, but Royval kept it standing. Respect to him. And Van couldn't finish him, which is surprising because he just got slimed out by Manel Kape in about a minute. But yeah, this fight was really good. Royval honestly could have won this fight. If he didn't get dropped in the last 10 seconds by Van, he could have won this fight, which, it kind of sucks for him. But, this was a good little back and forth. It was on the 317 Sora AI UFC card, the first Sora Meta AI UFC card that happened, where the main event, actually never happened, but it was Sora AI. But yeah, this fight was good. International Fight Week. It was a banger. Back and forth. Van drops him at the end and secures the title shot. Little did we know he would be the champion by fluking Pantoja at the end of the year. But yeah, this is a good scrap, and we'll move on. Next, Jack Della versus Belal. Now, I know this is a little controversial, but this fight was a good scrap, bro. And the reason I liked it so much is because I did not fuck with Belal, He wasn't one of my most hated fighters, but bro, he was just so boring. Like he was coming off that Leon performance that literally made me fall asleep in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? Like oh my god, that fight was so boring. Belal's known as a boring fighter. He has one finish against Sean Brady, and that was even like pitter pat shots up against the fence. So this fight, going into it, and I think a lot of people, thought this. I definitely thought that Belal was just gonna smudge him, take him down. JDM was coming off the Gilbert performance, which he literally got taken down at ease. So I thought this was going to be boring. And, why I put this on the list is because it ended up being a really good scrap. Belal, shot for his takedowns, but JDM, did it like a really good job defending them. Little did we know he actually didn't know how to defend a takedown when he got 50-45 by Islam, but that's a different story. But yeah, Belal was shooting takedowns. The narrative was that Belal wasn't shooting a lot, which was absolutely false because that's how much takedowns he shoots, like normally like 8 to 10 range. So Belal was shooting, but the thing that surprised me most is Belal was scrapping on the feet, Yeah, but JDM was just putting the pressure on, using a lot of kicks. Got Belal up against the fence like twice, and I thought he was going to finish him with a TKO up against the fence twice, but it never happened. The fight went to decision. It was a really good scrap, and this card was absolutely terrible too. We had just come off the Valentina versus Manon fight, which was just fucking dog shit. So, this fight was a good scrap to end the night, and JDM became champion, which was cool because, we fuck with the striking, and yeah, we didn't want to see Belal as champion anymore. So let's move on. The next fight, Merab versus Umar. Now, this was probably my third favorite fight of the year, which is crazy because going into this fight, and myself included, everyone thought this fight was going to be complete dog shit, fucking terrible. And yeah, it was actually a good scrap, surprisingly. And the crowd, I think the crowd had a good part of doing this because this was one of the best crowds of the year. I don't know, the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, I don't know what the fuck, like, the sound systems are in that place, but this fight got so fucking loud. Anytime something would happen, we'll get to a fight later that I have that was also on this card, but this fucking crowd was so fucking loud. Anytime something happened, like a big moment happened, my eardrums would like start bleeding, you know what I'm saying? Like this crowd was so loud and it was fire, but that's not a bad thing, but anyway, back to the fight. The fight was really good. I thought, everyone thought, it was just going to be a smudge fest between Umar and like holding up against the cage. Merab would hold him up against the cage. Umar would shoot for his takedowns, but this fight was absolutely crazy. The first 2 rounds of this fight reminded me of the the Merab and Peter fight that just happened, UFC 323. Umar was using his striking a lot more, wasn't shooting for as many takedowns. He did get a takedown, if I remember correctly, in the first round, but yeah, it reminded me of that the 323 fight because Umar was using his striking. Merab wasn't really getting anything off with the takedowns. And then the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round came, and oh my fucking god, bro, Merab just was like going crazy, just shooting so many takedowns. He was breaking Umar. Umar was getting really tired. And then that 5th round, bro, that 5th round was so good. You know what I loved about this fight too? I love when someone's aura farming, bro. Merab, he was never one of my like favorite fighters, up to this fight, but bro, the aura farming in round 5, this guy was literally just taunting Umar, but we never seen it. Umar was like gassing out. He got hit with a huge shot in round 5 on the feet, and fucking Khabib was shitting his pants in the corner, but he got hit with a huge shot. Merab points at him. Umar literally was Umar was sitting on his butt, like trying to pull him down, like from behind. Pause, that sounds really weird, but I think you guys know what I'm talking about. And Merab was just standing straight up, arms out to the side, like fucking celebrating, and this guy was trying to take him down from behind. I don't know how he kept his balance, but that was an insane moment. The crowd went crazy. Umar dumped him on his ass at the end of round 5, pointed at him. The crowd went crazy again. This fight was just such a banger. Even though Merab just all he did was shoot for takedowns. He did have some, decent striking in that 5th round, but this fight was crazy. It lived up way past its expectations, and it was one of the fights of the year. Moving on. Iwo versus Ebo, the name battle. This was probably the best round of the year. Only did last like a minute and 30 seconds, but this fight was so fucking back and forth. The guys just came out winging hooks. Like, there's simply nothing else. Barely any kicks, just literally swinging, winging hooks. And this is what we like to see. We like to see guys just go for it. I'm going to talk about another fight, after this, where people just go for it. But this is what I love to see. People just going out and scrapping. Don't care if they get knocked out. Just going to, put on a show. So this fight was crazy. I can't really remember I think Ebo came out and rocked Iwo early on, had him backed up against the cage. Just absolutely, they were both just swinging. He might have dropped him too. I can't remember correctly, but then Iwo came back. Ebo's chin was just so far up in the air, clipped him with a check hook against the fence, and fucking finished him with ground and pound on the ground. This was the craziest 1-round fight ever. I thought both guys were going to get knocked out at some point. And Iwo takes the cake for the name fight. Anyway, moving on. There's not much to talk about this fight. It was like a minute and a half. It was just like all out war, just throwing hooks. So not much to say. It was just a banger. Moving on. Yuri Prochazka had two I wouldn't say fight of the year, but two like really good fights this year. UFC 311 and UFC 320. I'll talk about 311 first. The crowd, when he would knock down Jamal Hill, literally made my ears bleed, bro. Something about this crowd was just absolutely insane. And we were, Jamal Hill is one of our least favorite fighters, so this was a W hate watch. We were hate watching Jamal Hill at UFC 311. We were happy when he got slimed out. Yuri in this fight, his defense was so much better. His footwork was really good. He was clipping Jamal, dropping him twice. Jamal, he was giving some good shots back. I think Yuri had a bloody nose, but I think it was pretty one-sided. I thought it might go to a decision because it was deep in the 3rd round when Yuri finished him, but Yuri doesn't go to decisions. Well, this guy's just an absolute animal. He goes for the kill even when he's winning. It was just a great fight and a W hate watch. Moving on to 320, Yuri fight Khalil Roundtree. And, we don't really mess with Khalil over here, but, we don't hate him either. So Khalil was doing his thing in the first 2 rounds, like just pitter-pat shots, leg kicks on the outside. He landed a good shot on Yuri in the 1st round, and Yuri, he reacted in a really, he was, angry that he got hit with the shot. You guys know what I'm talking about, but yeah, he was, staying on the outside. It was honestly not that good of a fight. It definitely wasn't fight of the year. It was just, one of my personal favorites, but that 3rd round came, and oh my God, Yuri this is what I love about Yuri, bro. He's down on the scorecards. He's not just going to fucking, go to a decision, bro. He's going to try to slime you out. He's going to try to, push the pace no matter if he gets knocked out. And that's what I fuck with. If he's going to get knocked out, he's going to get knocked out. He's going to go out on his shield. And we mess with that. So 3rd round came. Yuri was just, oh my God, he was just putting the absolute pressure on Khalil. Body shots were hurting Khalil. Khalil was gassed. They were both gassed, to be fair, but Khalil was so gassed. And then Yuri just pushes him off to the fence, lands an insane left hook, and just absolutely flatlines Khalil face first onto the ground. It was a W hate watch. I did sort of feel bad for Khalil because he was winning, and that visual of him on the ground, with one eye open, was just fucking insane. But we were happy Yuri won. This is why he's our 2nd favorite fighter, and he put on 2 good performances this year. And now, this is going to be my fight of the year. This next fight is the last fight I'm going to talk about. It is my fight of the year, my personal favorite fight, and that fight is Diego Lopez versus Gene Silva. Now, this fight was only 2 rounds, but this fight was so fucking insane, bro. It was so insane. This was my personal favorite fight of the year. Noche UFC, if I remember correctly, it wasn't the best card, so this, I think there were a lot of decisions, not that many finishes. So going into the main event, these are 2 of my favorite fighters in my top 10. We don't mess with Gene Silva outside of the cage, but that's where we're going to start. The walkouts for this fight were absolutely insane. They were cinema, bro. They were fucking cinema. This guy, Gene Silva, we don't fuck with him outside of the cage, right? This dude came out to a DMX song, I think. The dude took 10 minutes to fucking walk out. 10 minutes. The guy was walking a fucking step a minute. And then he made out with his wife at the fighter checkpoint. If you know, you know. If you remember, the guy, they locked eyes and just fucking made out for a second, which is fucking uncomfortable. But Anyway, this guy finally made it into the cage, and then Diego Lopez came out with that like Mexican song. I think it's called La Chona, bro. That fucking crowd went crazy. The crowd was insane. This was also a really good crowd. Yeah, Diego came out to that song. The crowd was hype. And bro, you knew these two guys were gonna scrap. You knew this was gonna be a banger fight. And the fight started. Oh my gosh, bro. It was a decent first round. At the beginning, I think both guys were landing leg kicks. Just it wasn't that really it wasn't that exciting. But then I think if I remember correctly, Gene Silva spun for something, and Diego took his back and took him down and got him into mount. And he was landing just insane 12-6 elbows, cut Gene Silva open. Bro, I can't remember who the ref was for this fight. I should remember, but I don't. I'm so glad the fight wasn't stopped because we got that second round. If the fight was stopped in the first round, I low-key would have been anticlimactic, bro, because he just took him down in the first, 3 minutes and just landing elbows. Bro, if fucking Mark Smith was... I don't think Mark Smith was the ref, because if Mark Smith was the ref, that fight would have been stopped. Fucking Mark Smith is terrible, bro. I should make a UFC ref tier list, but he would be at the fucking bottom, because Mark Smith, you're fucking terrible. I'm sorry. Nothing against you personally, but you are a horrible fucking ref. And if you were reffing this fight, I know damn well you would have stopped it over those 12-6 elbows. But I think he wasn't there, so this fight kept going. Kudos to whoever the ref was, because Gene Silva did buck out. He got back onto the feet in round one, and he landed some shots. That was the most exciting thing about the round, was when Diego had him in mount. I was just pouring elbows. And credit to Gene Silva. We hadn't really seen the dog come out, but in that second round, bro, this guy came out guns a-blazing, putting the pressure on. I have never seen Diego rocked like this, bro. Pitter-pat, fucking pillow hand Volkanovski did not rock Diego like this, bro. He didn't. We do not fuck with Volkanovski, and he didn't do shit to Diego. He just leg kicked him on the outside and then check hooked him. Oh my god. Don't even get me started on Volkanovski. I can't wait for the predictions for that rematch, because I'm going to go ham on Volk, because we don't fuck with him over here. But Gene Silva was genuinely rocking this guy, bro. He was rocking him. In the moment, I thought he was going to get finished, bro. My hands and my feet were fucking sweating, bro. I was shaking. I was so fucking nervous for this fight. I'm realizing now that I'm kind of a fucking loser. But anyway, this fight was just fucking crazy. Gene Silva, I think if Gene Silva took his fucking time, he could have got the finish. But bro was just going balls to the wall. He had heart. He had that dog in him. Pushed Diego up against the fence, but then Diego landed that beautiful fucking spinning elbow. Cut, bro, the blood. This was the most gory fucking fight, which I don't mind. I don't care, about blood, but this is the most gory, bloody fight of all time, bro. Gene Silva's head was just gushing blood, just pouring blood all over his fucking body. Diego got the finish, jumped on the cage, gave the bird to I think Gene Silva's team, then talked shit to Gene Silva's team. The bad blood in this matchup made it so much better. These guys hated each other, so. And then after the fight, Gene Silva pushed Diego. But anyway, this fight just had everything, bro. The walkout, the actual fight, the post fight, the blood, the fucking everything, bro. So yeah, this is my fight of the year. One more thing, even when the finish was happening, I watched this fight 5 times back. But if you go back and watch the fight, Dominic Cruz, when he's commentating, Gene Silva's cut on the head when Diego's going for the ground and pound, and Dominic Cruz is it's blood, it's gushing everywhere. The blood, it's gushing, and he was going crazy about the blood, which is funny. But this fight was my fight of the year. It had everything, even though it was a 2-round fight. 2 of my favorite fighters. These guys just went to absolute war. And, I'm hoping they both bounce back. We're hoping Gene Silva absolutely destroys Arnold Allen. We're not Arnold Allen haters over here, but, we are Gene Silva fans, and I think he will crack Arnold Allen and put him away. And yes, all of us watching this video, if you're watching this video, you don't fuck with Volk. We are hoping Diego Lopez slimes out Volk in Australia, silences the crowd, puts Volk out cold like Makhachev did, and retires him, because we're sick of him. We're sick of boring-ass Volk, all right? But that's for another video. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, what your favorite fight was, and let me know how you think my list was. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.